Okay, so I was asked to give my take on this little dust up between Dr. Mary and Calley Means, and so yeah, let's get to it. I just want to start by saying Dr. Mary, I'm a huge fan of, and I really agree that we need medical freedom and we need informed consent, and we need to really, if there are drugs that are harming people, and that benefit to risk ratios out of line, we need to pull those drugs. You know, almost half of the drugs approved by the FDA are later pulled for safety issues. So this is nothing new. We pull drugs all the time for not being safe. Once people are already taking them, and nothing new there. But I want to play this clip. So this was a 3-hour podcast, and this was actually Calley Means' idea to have this. He wanted to come together and hash it out with Dr. Kruse here and with Mary. You know, Mary's been going after Calley on Twitter and saying, "Hey, Maha is pivoting. They're not about pulling these vaccines." And my point to Mary is, Maha is the continuation of Kennedy's movement. And Kennedy has always said he's not here to take anybody's vaccines away. And maybe that's a little more political or diplomatic than Mary would like. But, Kennedy's very outspoken for, informed consent, for just a wealth of safety science. And, yeah, I know she's on board with all of that. So Kennedy stops short of calling for those to be pulled. And Calley the same way, and by the way, Calley's wheelhouse has nothing to do with these injections. Calley is all about, he wrote a whole book and it's about everything else. Okay. It's about making our food safer to eat, principally, among other things. So, it's, I was surprised to see Dr. Mary really coming after Calley, saying Maha's pivoted, and I want to play a little bit of this here. See what you think.
Do you see my point, though, that we've been fighting a war for 4 years,
Absolutely,
and all of a sudden, no one's talking about it anymore, and we're all talking about seed oils. It's just very
guys.
I
think
the
problem. Hold on.
It's called the Hegelian dialect.
Dude.
And the place they used to work specializes.
You know what?
in it.
You know what else is a tactic? To throw around bullshit to cause doubt on people, and say that.
But that's
people
why
are
we're here, Calley, for you to call bullshit on it.
I am not.
So for those who haven't had the pleasure of watching this, some more than one person say they can't watch it because Dr. Kruse is just like this the whole time. He's so adversarial. He's Calley Means it was his idea to sit down and hash this out, in a public forum for 3 hours. And Dr. Kruse wants to go after him the whole time. I wish he would have been a lot more reasonable. All right, so I want to jump in here and say this is why Dr. Kruse is wrong. This shows the longevity of the United States here in red, and these are the other countries in Europe which are comparable, westernized countries. Okay, now back in 1980, 40 years ago, we as Americans were living just about as long as everyone else, right there in the middle of the pack. And before COVID even started, what happened? Well, dozens of diseases have been taking us out, going parabolic. Everything from autism to Alzheimer's, dementia and cancers, diabetes, obesity, celiacs, you name it. And, this is from a study by Dr. Stephanie Seneff. This shows glyphosate, this Roundup herbicide that's in 90% of the food we eat. And it shows how, this is a crazy correlation right here we're seeing, 0.997. That's insane. And, right here, starting where we start doing this glyphosate, we're seeing this go up. This is a point that Kennedy makes, that we're seeing all these diseases go up at the same time, and there's only a number of culprits that it could be. Glyphosate, the main one. Maybe it's seed oils, maybe it's corn syrup, but there's only a number of other culprits that have that same correlation. In correlation, it doesn't prove causation, but you can rule out, a lot of other things with this. So, here's another study. This is deaths due to intestinal infection, and this is, again, just about perfectly correlated with as we have more glyphosate on our wheat. Look at this here at the end. We cut it out a little bit in 2010. It goes down a little bit. Just wild correlations. When we see these again and again, there's dozens of charts like this. This is Alzheimer's. This is glyphosate versus deaths from Alzheimer's. Unbelievable. Here we have thyroid cancer, same thing. And so, yeah, Dr. Kruse, I think he's way out of his element here. I don't think he's familiar with, the science on this stuff. And, Mary wants to give Calley a hard time and for not, stepping up and being outspoken right now. Well, right now we have these nomination confirmations coming up. And everybody, historically, they always kind of get quiet. Kennedy's Twitter account hasn't been nearly as active. He's just on there congratulating people for, their confirmations. Well, here, this is the chief of staff of Trump coming out and, making this public. This is something that was behind closed doors, but she was on Fox News talking about it. And, yeah, I tell you what, we've got to do a whole lot better. We've got Tucker Carlson had a really great interview recently with Aaron Siri. Aaron Siri, this is the lawyer for Bobby Kennedy. And Aaron recently filed a petition on behalf of one of his clients about the polio vaccine, just demanding more safety science. There could be more of that. And, the Mockingbird media made 200 articles all saying the same thing, that Kennedy wants to take away the polio vaccine. And their connection was this, that his lawyer, on behalf of someone else, asked for more safety science. So, this is how deceitful or how deceptive some in the media can be. And this just shows what Calley means is trying to avoid here. He doesn't want to. Why would he come out? He's closer to Kennedy than Aaron Siri, Kennedy's lawyer, arguably. So why would he come out and stir up the waters now when the people who are, want to make real change, make America healthy again, are about to get in there and have their impact? So, I just think maybe Mary doesn't understand this. Maybe Mary is just, I kind of look at this like maybe this was a good thing. Mary coming out and maybe acting like she doesn't know why. Why aren't people all trying to stir everything up right now? Well, maybe she just, this is a tactic of hers to try to stay in the news and keep this movement. Like, we do need to demand safe food, safe medicine, safe air, safe water, and she's being a good advocate for her cause doing this. Is one way to look at it. Dr. Kruse, I wish he was a lot more diplomatic. He doesn't think the food is killing us. Well, Dr. Kruse, I would love to have that discussion with you. What's killing us, and where are your studies? What correlations? Because these, what I'm showing here, these aren't just correlations. Okay, you can read the papers. There's 1,000+ studies on glyphosate showing its toxicity, and it describes the method of action, and we see exactly how that works. This glyphosate is an antibiotic. Okay, it rips up the microbiome, our first line of defense. It chelates our nutrients. We're all malnourished in this country, and this is a big part of that. If you have grass-fed beef, it's more nutritious because the cows that aren't eating that grass-finished, that are eating that GMO corn to fatten them up at the end, that glyphosate is tying up those nutrients, and now that beef isn't as nutritious. So not only is glyphosate an antibiotic, chelates the nutrients, it's also an endocrine disruptor, and it's a carcinogen. Okay, so it's messing up people's hormones, and it's giving them cancer on top of everything else. That's why we can see that there's so many dozens of diseases where glyphosate is doing this. So, we understand exactly how this is happening, and we see the data, and so the point about Europe is has less than a tenth of the glyphosate we have. Okay, and they have, by the way, they have 1,600 chemicals that are banned that we allow. Okay, so yeah, it's a big difference. And the thing about Europe is they're just like us in just about every other respect, okay? They've got a lot of cars. They're very westernized. They're looking at screens all day. They're not as active as they could be. But Americans go to Europe and they lose weight, eating more. So, what's the difference? Well, it's the poison. Poison is rude. Don't put it in your food. And on that note, I'll just say, look, we're just getting past the winter solstice. The days are getting longer. It's a great time to invest in local agriculture. We don't all have to have our hands in the soil, but the more that we support the people who are doing things right, the better off we all are. This cultivates food purity, food security, and sovereignty. This is independent self-reliance in our community, so we don't need anything from the tyrants. We can grow our own food, our own medicine, our own building materials, even our own fuel. And this is what we've always done. It's in our blood. It's who we are. And it's never been easier in a lot of ways. We have so much know-how, so much technology. So, this is the answer. A lot of people want to take our rights from us and have people eating crickets. Bill Gates doesn't think anybody should be eating beef. It's like, actually, if you manage the animals responsibly, okay, not in a big factory, but, there is a symbiosis between the land, between the plants and the animals that builds the soil. And then if you have the food locally, you don't got to ship it all over the world. So if you're concerned about carbon emissions, that takes care of that. We're putting it in the ground, and we're doing it the right way, and we're all healthier for it. And when there's supply chain disruptions, as there were with COVID, we have the food growing locally. The more so, the better. And so we've seen this throughout history that when there's war, when there's droughts, we saw Cuba recently. They started growing their own food, and they're so much better off for it. And that was by necessity. They had to do that. But they're glad they did now. So my invitation is your favorite plants, your favorite animals. Lean into local agriculture as a hobby, if nothing else. Feed the bunnies, water the flowers. Let's plant paradise everywhere, and let's make our food safe again.